conspiracy theories, hidden motives, doubt, and distrust, and attempting to uncover any possible truth. The Scream franchise spans multiple decades with entries both on television and the silver screen. 3 seasons and 6 films later, we have one of the most talked about franchises in the horror genre. In today's video, we are going to talk about some known and more unknown conspiracy theories people have concerning the Scream franchise. Let's get into it. Welcome back, I'm Sippin and the Scream franchise is my favorite. I even enjoy the TV series that, let's be honest, does not get enough praise. But today, I'm joined by a fellow lover of the franchise. Today, I will be discussing some conspiracy theories that I found online. One of which is a theory that actually revolves around Stu Macher's motive. Stay tuned for that one. And after each theory, I will be asking fellow YouTuber and friend HorrHer where they rank on believability. Don't be a stranger either, let me know your ranking on each theory down below. Now let's move on to the first theory, one that states, the events of the original Scream followed Billy Loomis and Stu Macher donning the mask and slaying their friends and peers, until they are inevitably stopped by Sidney Prescott. But this theory states that Roman Bridger, the Ghostface from Scream 3, and the one that actually started it all, was actually in Woodsboro during the murders. I know this theory is popular as will some of the others, but I want to give credit to whoever I saw first with the idea. So according to user TillDeath1775, the Ghostface we see stalking Sidney and Tatum in town was none other than Roman. The theory seems plausible once we realize that during this, Stu Macher and Billy Loomis were busy tormenting Randy over at the video store, so they clearly wouldn't have had time to drive across town and watch their moves. Also, they would just have really no need in following Sidney and Tatum as they already know their plans. They knew Sidney and Tatum were getting supplies for the party they were going to attend, but there's someone who wouldn't have known this information, and that's Roman. He merely set the plan into action. He gave Billy the reason, so maybe Roman arrived to Woodsboro in order to keep an eye out on their progress. But it's just a theory, or is it?
I mean, that's quite believable. To be fair, when you look back at it, I know that the original idea wasn't that Roman was never even thought of because it was different writers. It's believable that there could have been a third killer in theory. Don't know how much I buy that one. I don't know. I said that's actually a really good theory. Like, it is quite good. Yeah, that's believable to an extent.
Okay, and on a scale of 1 to 10 on believability, where would you put it? 10 being that is guaranteed to have happened, and 1 being no, there's no way.
I'm going to put that as a 5. Yeah, I can see why people would reach for that. So I can definitely, it wouldn't be out of sorts if they actually confirmed that, if that makes sense. So definitely it could have happened.
The next theory actually revolves around Stu's motive. But before that, someone special has something to say.
Hello, everybody. This is a message from
Dewey! Yes, it's David Arquette, Dewey from the Scream movies. I am on here to let you know that Ty Sippin is incredible. You know, Dewey Dewdrop is one of his favorite characters, and he often does horror content. So if you love horror content and you love Dewey, like we do, please subscribe, like, etc., share with your friends, and enjoy all the incredible horror movie content. Long live Dewey. But please, like, subscribe, check out Sippin' Ice, my friend Ty's channel.
Now, does this conspiracy theory change Stu's motive? Let's find out. This theory comes from CBR. One thing we know for certain is that Billy's dad, Hanklin, or Hank for short,
do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man.
Had an affair with Sidney's mother. It is the whole reason why the events began in the first movie. Upset after Maureen dismissed him, Roman Bridger heads to Billy, informing him of his father's affair. Upon learning this, Billy dives deep, trying to learn all he can about his situation, when he realizes something. This wasn't his father's first time stepping out on his family. This time, however, he had a kid with this woman. His name? Stu Macher. Billy then goes to Stu and tells him the news that they are half-brothers. This enrages Stu, wanting to get revenge on his parents and their lives. He agrees to aid Billy so long as he gets to use his house for the final hurrah. as he sees it as the ultimate revenge on his parents. So Billy wanted Sydney and Stu wanted revenge. Or did he? It is just a theory after all. Or is it?
I don't believe that one for 1 second. I can't see that. I can't see that at all. Purely for the fact that I don't know why Stu would go along with wanting to get a revenge on Sydney, when surely in my mind I would want to get revenge on the person who had done that, which would be more Billy's dad rather than Maureen Prescott and Sydney. I know that you could be like, well, need to start somewhere, but if the big one for me is if that was the case, I think he wouldn't aim for Sydney and her dad. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see that one being as realistic. I would put that as a 2 out of 10.
Our next conspiracy theory takes us on over to the TV series. This theory comes from the fandom wiki. A fan's theory claims that for those of you that don't remember, Piper was revealed to be the killer at the end of the first season. But did she have an accomplice? This theory seems to think so. Other than Kieran, Audrey was horrendously bullied, leaving her to self-isolate. Soon, however, she met Piper Shaw, someone she felt she was able to confide in. She is the one that fills Piper in on the town's secrets, which inevitably leads her to finding Emma. Now the theory doesn't stop there, but continues on. They claim Audrey and Piper teamed up to scare Tyler, but Piper went ahead with killing Tyler unbeknownst to Audrey. Audrey gets spooked, but Piper blackmails her and forces Audrey to continue. But she felt Audrey needed proof she was serious, and in doing so, she killed Rachel to prove this, along with believing Rachel to be a loose end who could begin suspecting Audrey. Lastly, they claim Piper used this kill to eliminate a possible alibi for Audrey, further dragging her into her plans. This one is interesting for sure, but is it just interesting, or is there some possible truth to it?
I quite like that one. Like, to be fair, I did call Piper out as being the killer pretty early on when I watched season 1.
Yeah.
I think it was quite obvious that it was her. It had a sort of Mrs. Loomis feel to it as well, which I thought was it was too familiar. I don't see Piper doing that on her own. I don't see her being the only killer in that series, because it's just, there's so much that happened. It doesn't feel right that she did it all on her own, and I could actually see Audrey possibly doing that just because of her type of character. So that one to me at the moment is the most believable out of the theories that you've thrown at me. Well, not thrown, but that we're discussing. That one is the most believable, so I can actually see that. I think there's some very good points there. I'd put that as a 7.
I agree with you. I think it is rather believable, given the circumstances and her character, like you said.
Audrey she was a bit of probably like a bit of a red herring in places, but I can, her characteristics and just her in general, I can definitely see that. Moving on to the penultimate theory. Yes, I know, big word. This conspiracy theory is rather popular. By that I mean it's the theory. The credit goes to, well, I guess everyone. Too many people have discussed this theory that it makes it really kind of impossible to truly track down the first mention of it. The theory is that so the Stu train has been chugging along for years, but with the release of Scream 5 and Scream 6, the train has been roaring louder than ever. This theory states that Stu actually survived his stabbings and electrocution. People flock to his brief and mostly unseen cameo in Scream 2 during the party sequence. The theory has people on either side of the fence pushing back. For instance, Scream's writer Kevin Williamson himself has confirmed the death of Stu Macher. But where the Stu train attendees push back is on the premise of Scream 3's original script. The script would have followed a cult of ghost faces trying to get to Sydney, led by the one and only Stu Macher, who survived his injuries. This cult of ghost faces is technically another theory all on its own, but since it kind of revolves relatively close to this theory, I have decided to lump them as one. This theory informs us that Stu could have been in prison as a way of trying to explain his 20-year absence, with his return being in Scream 7. Will Stu lead a cult of ghost faces in order to attack his previous target, Sydney Prescott, and her family? No.
I had a feeling he was going to say this one.
You know where I stand on this one. I am very much not on the Stu train. I love Stu. Like, I keep on saying it. He's one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. I don't buy that he is alive. I know that there is a rumor about the original script for Scream 3. However, there's also contrasting things that have come out with that, whereas somebody's like, I can't remember exactly who it was, but they've basically said that Matthew Lillard was never actually considered for Scream 3, even though Matthew Lillard says that he was. So it's very like he said, she said. I could possibly have seen it happening back in the day. It would have made a lot more sense, but due to the time past, I don't think this is now realistic. I mean, the guy had flipping stab wounds all over him, a 90s TV dropped on his head and electrocuted all down his body. I don't know if you know that. I'm just going way too deep into this now. If you're electrocuted in your head, you've got more of a chance of dying than being electrocuted anywhere else. So to me, it just doesn't, he's not a robot. He's just a human. It's not like he's Michael Myers, who's some sort of like supernatural being. So to me, it's a big no. I know that's a very unpopular opinion. I love him, but no, I just don't see it. I would put that as a 1 just because I can't go 0. I mean, I guess I could go 0, but
yeah, I mean, deep down, it's unbelievable for me as well. But it's just that slim hope that, like, oh, please let it be true.
Yeah, I mean, he was just so good in the original. I know there are a lot of people who would love to see him back. My partner's one of them, but I'm just like, I can't personally buy it. But that's just because I'm quite realistic in the way that I think, and I'm just like, would it make sense in real life? Probably not, but Scream's not real life, so I guess there's always a slim chance of things happening.
Anything can happen in this franchise because he technically wasn't shot in the head, so
yeah. But I've also got something about being shot in the head, which I won't go into now, but I have got this thing about shot in the head, because if you've noticed, nobody said that had to be done until Scream 3, and that's only because Roman was wearing a bulletproof vest.
Here we are, the final conspiracy theory, but it doesn't have to be the final one. I have more lined up and ready to go. So if you like this video and want a part 2 or even some conspiracy theories from another franchise, then let me know by liking the video and commenting down below. The final theory for today's video, however, is about my boy Dewdrop. The theory loosely revolves around the previous entry. Stick with me. In Scream 5, my main man Dewdrop was killed. Nearing the end of the film, it's revealed that Amber Freeman was the one to carry out this atrocity. But this theory claims it actually wasn't her, but Stu Macher that ended Dewey. The theorists point out the sheer height difference alone as a way of signaling the truth. Amber was 5'3", while the Ghostface was easily nearing 6 feet tall, as they were roughly the same height, if not a tad taller than Dewey, who stands at 5'10". Does this point the finger elsewhere? Is this a clue as to Stu's survival and revenge against one of the legacy characters?
So, I don't think Amber did it, if I'm honest with you. And it's just like, I don't think Quinn was involved in Gail's boyfriend being killed and Gail's attack in Scream 6. There's always going to be these kind of theories that come out that, you know, because the women aren't tall enough, it's sort of physically impossible. But there was some sort of confusion, I think, over the Dewey's kill, where people thought that that Ghostface actually lifted him up when they didn't. It was a kill from Call of Duty with the Ghostface pack, and it's actually on his knee, so he doesn't actually get lifted up. However, I don't think Amber would have that strength in her to fully gut him like he was. It just doesn't make sense. So I do think there could be a possible third killer. I don't think it's Stu, but there's definitely somebody who could be lurking in the background overseeing everything. So this theory is like a half and half for me, because I really don't think it would be Stu, but I do think that there is always a chance that there's going to be somebody popping their head up out of nowhere and being like, yeah, I've been here all along. And that's a good theory. I do like that one. Believability for it being Stu, though, I don't get that.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you 2 of them then. So on the believability scale of it being Stu as the killer, where do you rank it? And then if it's somebody else, where do you rank it on the scale?
Okay, so the believability of Stu's just going to be a 1 again, just because I really don't see Stu coming back. Yeah. If he does come back, though, I will accept all the slack and all the spamming. I don't care. That's absolutely fine. Believability of it being somebody else is an 8.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I really don't think it was Amber. There's just, obviously wasn't Richie at that point, but I really can't see that being Amber.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think if it is somebody else, do you think it was somebody from the Scream 5 and 6 world, or do you think it's somebody from the previous movies?
with Scream 6, I've got a theory that it was Danny in Gail's apartment, but I don't see how that could link in with Scream 5. So if it was somebody who out of Scream 5 or 6, I'd put it to Danny, but he's obviously not going to be around in Scream 5, so it could always be somebody just that we haven't seen yet, who could have been, or somebody that we have seen who's just in Scream 5 that we don't even consider.
That's true. And too, if you think about it, you know, here's a random theory that I just thought of since you mentioned Danny. What if we was never told when Danny moved into his apartment? Because we know, you know, he lives across the way from you know, Sam and Tara, but we never were told when he moved in. What if he followed them up from Woodsboro after events of Scream 5 and moved across the way from them to be able to keep an eye on them?
You know, that could actually be quite true, because he could have been maybe even a friend of Richie's that his family would have known, so could have sort of encouraged him to move in there, encouraged him to pursue Sam, and sort of have that sort of relationship with Sam. So that's actually, yeah, that's a good little theory there. I like that.
All right. Well, might as well ask, what is it on the scale of believability?
I'm going to give that a 9, just because.
Let's go.
Yeah, I can
Let's
see
go.
it.
All right. Well, we just discovered the third killer from Scream 6. Well, the fourth killer technically. So, all right. Well, we got it figured out then.
That's what happened. There's no other option there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those were 5 conspiracy theories from the Scream world. Some were believable, while some not so much. According to HorrHer, this list is how believable each theory has been. What about you? Are any of these plausible or just too ridiculous to believe? Let me know your thoughts and rankings down below in the comments. That was 5 theories in the Scream universe. Let me know if you want a part 2 or to cover another franchise by liking the video, subscribing, and leaving a comment on what you would like to see. Thank you to HorrHer for joining me on the channel again. Make sure you're subbed to her as she makes some amazing content.
Yeah, so obviously I'm HorrHer. Catch me on the same tag. I upload Scream content, obviously, general horror content, sort of countdown top 10-y kind of horror videos. So if you want to check that out, please feel free, because I do appreciate it. And I am not an AI, because that has actually been flagged up a few times. It's not AI, I promise.
She is not AI, guys. I can confirm. As always, I appreciate your time. Stay chill, and I will see you next time.